try that again, shall we? Yes, welcome in at 1-0. Full start there, Adam. 5-yard penalty for you, mate. Yeah, welcome into
Yeah.
the Full at 10 Yards podcast. Hope you're all doing well. This is gonna be a fun one, isn't it? Two people pulling the strings. This could be the funnest one of the year, but we'll see how we go. Yes, no Liam this week as we hit double digits in the NFL season. Week 10 is upon us. And I'd say we've been blessed with a lovely slate of primetime games. But let's just say, Adam, they don't quite match up to last week's ones.
No, when you're starting the primetime games with the Bears at the Panthers or Panthers at Bears, it's not exactly the best start to the week. But no, there was some cracking games last week. So yeah, hopefully we'll be landing some decent ones this week. But I know next week I'm very much looking forward to Thursday night. It's Bengals against Ravens, so that'll be a cracker to start the week next week. But yeah, this week they're not really up there for me. But yeah, we'll see how they go.
Yeah, is it Thanksgiving the week after as well, isn't it?
Yes, week after
Yes,
Lions, Packers, Commanders, Cowboys, and
Commanders.
49ers, Seahawks.
Yeah. So there we go. A couple of good Thursdays. We just got to get through this one. Although I don't know if I'm working out. Obviously, the Bears have the Panthers draft pick, so I don't know whether they'll be annoyed because at least one of those teams will improve their record, or they'll be happy because one of them won't, and they're obviously in the top couple of draft picks, aren't they? So it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So do they want to win? Do they not want to win? I guess it's. No, I suppose for the Bears it doesn't. For the Panthers, they want to win because it doesn't help them at all doing anything else. So I
Yeah,
guess for them, they'll at least be putting the effort in. And weirdly, I think it might be a little bit of a fun game. I think neither team's
yeah,
very good, so
yeah.
it could be a weirdly high scoring and quite entertaining game.
Yeah, let's take a look at the betting. It's Chicago are 3.5 point favourites at home, obviously hosting the Carolina Panthers. Over under here is 38. You can tell he's done the graphics this week, but yeah, fabulous job. Carolina in pink, in purple or mauve. Though I'm not quite sure about that color choice, but maybe are they an alternative unis that I don't know about.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I honestly, it's the Carolina Panthers. I couldn't think about it being black and blue, even though I've got a Luke Kuechly pop figurine around here somewhere. I should have just kept an eye on that and gone with that one. But no, I put the smallest bit of effort into doing the into doing
You
the
know,
graphics.
you did more than the minimum, so you can't really argue with that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to put myself into a full sense of hope of optimism that this game actually goes all right. Let's say the 38.5. I mean, Vegas aren't very rarely wrong, and quite a few games that I've looked at or focused on this season, I don't see there many points out of what they've put on their total lines. But I'm hoping it does go over because I've got a little bit of interest in various leagues of my fantasy. But no Justin Fields. He was obviously confirmed. He's not confirmed out yet, I don't think. But the secret agent, as I like to call him, he's going to be at quarterback for the Bears. No Khalil Herbert, so Donta Foreman, who's my best touchdown scorer bet for this game because he's 6-4 and he got 20 attempts last week for 83 yards. But he played for the Panthers, didn't he? Was it last season? So he'll be wanting to score, and you can run all over the Panthers. So I just think Donta Foreman at 6-4 is a great bet. But yeah, I'm hoping it'll be like a sneaky. Both teams don't really have anything to lose in the sense that I'm just hoping it's one of those games where neither want to win, so they can just kind of play a bit free. Say maybe Bajent's last game. Bryce Young and the Panthers have got a lot to answer for. So I'm hoping for a bit of offense, but generally on Thursday night football, you don't really get that because of a short week and,
No.
and whatnot. But yeah, here's to hoping, fingers crossed, that we can at least get a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, we've all picked a fun thing on this one. Liam's gone for both teams to score 15 points or more at 5-4. I assume that's a Sky Bet
Yeah,
thing. Normally is.
like,
Yeah. You've obviously gone for the running back on the Bears, and I've gone for the running back on the Panthers. I've gone for Chuba Hubbard to have over 44 and a half rushing yards. It was 47 and a half at the weekend, and he went over that. I'm surprised it's dropped. I guess because Miles Sanders actually looked all right in relief. But as far as I'm aware, Chuba Hubbard's going to be the main running back for them, and he's playing against a poor team. So, yeah, he's my one for this week for the Thursday night game. And yeah, fingers crossed, as you say, with neither team really expected to do much, and neither team very good on defense, then we should hopefully see a bit of fun. Yeah, our main league, I do have Bryce Young at quarterback because it's Jalen Hurts bye week, so I do need. I could do with the Panthers doing quite well tonight.
Yeah. How did you get on last week in that league? Just out of interest.
Actually I got my average up at least,
Yeah.
and that's more important for some people.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Always find the positives.
It was
Let's move.
close.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a good one to get the win. For full disclosure, I beat Adam in my main league, so that was always fun. Couldn't go that long into the podcast without mentioning it. I got 6 minutes in,
No,
so
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah. Moving on. Moving on to the second Germany game sees the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots. So New England Patriots are air quotes of the home team. 1.5 point favourites are the Colts. Total points here is 43. Yeah, like your Deutschland foosball there, very good. Getting the what's it? I can't remember what it's called now. What's the double S called?
See, I thought it was an umlaut, but umlaut was wrong. It was an
Uh,
ezet or something like that.
I can't remember what it's called now. That's gonna kill me. I did German in secondary school as well. Oh, well, it'll probably come to me when I don't need it. But there we go. I think that's probably going to be the most interesting thing about this game, to be quite honest. But I think this is going to be an absolute horror show. Obviously they've got a bit longer to travel. I know they're kind of East Coastish teams, but we saw obviously the Miami Dolphins struggling to get anything going last week. It wasn't a high scoring game last week either. And we've mentioned in the international series games in London about slow starts and acclimatization. Most teams coming over on Fridays, and when you considering you've got New England Patriots and Gardner Minshew-led Indianapolis Colts, I don't really see points in this game. I don't really care about the game at all. So I can't find anything. I can't find anything at all to get excited about this game.
Yeah, I'm frankly, I'm not going to help too much on that one either. The Patriots have been over a few times, obviously. It's Bill Belichick. He was the genius. I'd say was because they've been terrible recently. But yeah, they do have an incredibly good record coming across this side of the pond, so that's a bonus for them. But it's this year's Patriots. It's difficult to have any faith in them doing anything. The first quarter points last week was 10. And obviously, the Chiefs scored on the first drive. I thought we were done for straight away, to be honest. But that started off slow as we expected. So me and you both got the winner on the under 10 points last week. Whereas this week, it's 7 points for the first quarter. So
Oh, geez.
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So one touchdown. You get
If
the
you can get
push on that, obviously.
7.5, if you can get 7.5, I'd probably go under.
Yeah, so I'd imagine. I think it was 4 to 5 for under seven as well. So it's going to be even shorter for under 7.5
Yeah,
if you can get off
I
at
suppose
seven
you
for that one.
get push, but I'd rather, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But I quite like watching the Colts with Minshew there. There's a lot of chaos, and you never know what's really going to happen. No one likes watching the Patriots because they're just dismal this year. So I would love the Colts to win. Obviously, the yeah, obviously it was 1.5 point favourites for the Colts. I don't think I would be able to take that, but I think that is the right side. I do feel they're the better team, but yeah, coming over this side of the pond, over to Germany, it messes things up a bit, and you never know really what's going to happen. I guess under 43 points would be a sensible bet in this one because I can't see the Patriots scoring much.
Yeah, no, I've gone under as my best bet in that one, and yeah, like you say, it's one of those when you look at the money line, it's 5 to 6 and even. So I think the 1.5 is just a mandatory. Oh, you've got to make someone a favourite and do 1.5. So I don't think
Yeah.
no one's rushing to the counter to get their bets on the Colts minus 1.5. I assume a lot more people will be getting on the under there. But again, like even for touchdown scorers, maybe Ramondre Stevenson obviously had a long touchdown last week. I think Josh Downs has not practiced this week, so maybe you might want to look at Michael Pittman, or no doubt you've probably looked at the five tight ends that the Colts have got and gone Big Mo or something.
They have a few. No, not touched anything yet. No, I've didn't bother looking for the touchdown score on that one
Nah, nah, fully
because
understand
there won't
why.
be many.
I don't think you'll be looking for many touchdown scorers in the Sunday night football game either, as the Vegas Raiders and the Jets do battle. And again, it's similar. it's a pick 'em, so they've got to make someone a favourite. So the Raiders are -1, so I'd probably take the Jets +1 to be honest. Not that it's really going to do very much, but the over under here 36.5, as you can see on screen for those watching on the tube. Yeah, again, I'm quite surprised considering the Jets can be shutting down your Justin Herberts and all the other, Jalen Hurtses and all the rest of the guys that they've played this year, Patrick Mahomes. I find it even. I don't care if they're away. The Vegas Raiders are awful, and a bit surprised that the Jets maybe aren't a couple of points more. I know Zach Wilson was absolutely awful last week against the Chargers, but I again expect a low scoring game in this one, even if it is 36.5. But no offenses are really getting anything going. Maybe Brees Hall can get a few things going, but Max Crosby and that defensive line for the Raiders isn't too bad. It's just elsewhere. So I don't think Zach Wilson's going to have enough time to maybe go into the intermediate or the deep kind of stuff to Garrett Wilson or Alan Lazard or whatever scrubs they've got at wide receiver. But yeah, again, the main theme here is just no one's staying up to watch it on in the UK.
No, no. The Raiders, obviously, I'd imagine this was a bigger handicap before the sacking of Josh McDaniels and before their bounce last weekend, and the happiness was around that locker room, all smoking cigars and going crazy, frankly, because they won a game. But obviously, it was just a relief of not having Josh McDaniels in the building anymore, I think. So it'll be interesting to see if they get a bump again this week. But obviously, the Jets' defense is outstanding, and going up against a rookie quarterback, you think you're going to struggle with that quarterback moving the ball. I'd imagine it'll be a lot of Josh Jacobs. Seems like it'll be the way to go in this one. Devontae Adams, obviously, I thought last week he'd come out and get targeted a lot and get a lot of the ball, and I don't seem to remember he did a huge amount. So.
He's done nothing for
Um,
well over a month now.
Yeah, but with a new quarterback, new coach, you would think there's one thing that he'd be told to do is get the ball to Davante Adams, but that didn't happen. Apparently, the Jets were interested in trading for him, so it'll be interesting to see whether there's any chat about that during the game. But no, I actually got my line wrong on the Germany game. The Germany game, the first quarter is under 7.5, so I apologise. That one, 20 to 23 on 7.5. I got it wrong because I went for under seven in this one. Under seven in this game, it's in the first quarter is around evenings as well. I think it was 4 to 5, as I said before. So yeah, I just can't see this being a high scoring game. Obviously, the Jets struggle to score, and the Raiders against such a very good defense will be struggling as well. So yeah, it's I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult one. Liam does think the Raiders, he's got a bit more hope than us. He thinks the Raiders +2.5 and under 39.5 points. I'd imagine that's on Sky Bet again. Um, so yeah, as we found out last week, if the lines move, you can generally get better lines on the handicap and total points on Sky Bet.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's like you mentioned. You touched on it there. I think this is going to be a lot of handing the ball off to Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs, and to see how far, it's kind of see what the third down yardage is, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, if you're looking for touchdown scorers, Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs, and then probably go nowhere else. To be quite honest, maybe Garrett Wilson if you're
Yeah,
feeling a bit fruity. But when you've got a 36.5 point line, you're not going to get many touchdowns that are going to be scored. So there's not really big pie to go around there. So yeah, I'm just again similar to the Colts game. I'm just leaving it alone. Um, Fun times. A bit better on
yeah,
Monday
move
Night
on.
Football. Yeah, move on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Monday Night Football might be a decent one, depending if the Denver Broncos turn up when they go to Buffalo Bills, who have been a bit vulnerable on defense. Obviously, they were comfortably dealt with, I thought, against the Bengals last week, so much to your delight, I'm sure. Over under here is 47 points, and the Buffalo Bills are a 7.5 point favourites in this one. Obviously, Buffalo at home can be a bit of a different beast. Denver can be very hit and miss depending on what week you kind of get them off. They've had the bye last week, coming off the win against the Chiefs. Could be interesting. I can see maybe the Broncos potentially getting frisky if Russell Wilson makes up for it. But yeah, interested in your thoughts on this one, because it can be a bit of a hard one to call. Because
Uh,
Buffalo are kind of flip a coin, isn't it?
both teams are really. Yeah, it depends what mood they're in. Obviously, last week, yeah, the Bengals shut down the Bills fairly easily. There was some dodgy calls on both sides of the ball. I've seen Bills fans crying about it because obviously they lost from it. But after the first drive for each team last week, the defenses were on top. It the Bills defense did give up 350 plus to Burrow, and Joe Mixon looked great on the ground as well. So they are definitely susceptible. And the Broncos have actually been incredibly good at running the ball this year. So Javonte Williams should have himself a decent game. It'll be interesting to see whether Gabe Davis gets a touch this week because he didn't actually catch a single pass last Monday. So it'll be interesting to see if they get him into into the game plan. You would think they'd have to. Dalton Kincaid was a beast. He was fairly unstoppable. Frankly, they could have just targeted him 15 times and kept on moving the ball, but he did fumble, which was an amazing play by Jermaine Pratt. I will I will mention some Bengals plays
You're on
as
that
much
one
as I
in.
can.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I don't particularly rate the Bills in big games, but when they're playing poorer teams, they obviously are very much capable of killing them. I would be leaning to the Bills covering the 7.5, even though it is that horrible half point. But I do think there could be a lot of points, so my bet for this one was over 47. Yeah, the Broncos are frustrating. They show in little spurts that they're very good, but 75% of the game is terrible for them. So, yeah, I think points on both sides, and yeah, probably 20 plus each, and Bills winning.
yeah. My bet was over. I think just to your point on Gabe Davis, I don't know if Pat Satan will shadow Diggs maybe, so they'll have to get maybe Gabe Davis involved. It does seem like it's maybe a Gabe kind of game. I just wanted to circle back on to Sunday Night Football. I forgot to give my best bet which was a bit of a weird one, but it was a field goal to be missed. I think considering how bad the offenses are, how points being at premium, I think a lot more field goals will be attempted. So when you've got two bad teams, you might the more field goals that are attempted, the more chance you've got of missing. So I thought field goal missing at 5 to 6 was the better for Sunday Night Football. But yeah, Monday Night Football over 46.5. I do think Gabe will get, or we can't get any less than what he got last week. But I think he'll get a handful of touches that he had the few weeks prior to last week's goose egg. But yeah, it could be a fruity one. Could be especially if the Broncos get up early. But Buffalo at home, like I say, you should expect to cover, but I'm not taking a 7.5, especially with the vulnerabilities that Buffalo has shown. But on both sides of the ball, really, because you've got the corners for Buffalo have struggled all season, injuries and how they play and all the rest of it. But also, Josh Allen seems to like to hit the sabotage button and kind of shoot themselves in the foot as well in the odd game as well. So I think Denver will be thereabouts, maybe even backdoor cover, which is why I don't like
Mm.
taking 7.5. So yeah, I'll leave that. But so yeah, over on the points for me.
And Liam has gone for Broncos over 20.5 points, which is 6-5. So yeah, he's basically we'll say that he's echoing everything that we've just said. He thinks that there's going to be a high scoring game, and yeah, as I say, I think both teams over 20. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Okay, looking at the rest of the slate on the Sunday. I don't know if you've got the ticker going there, Adam.
There we go.
Good stuff. Yeah, yeah. If you are watching there, scrolling along the screen, I'll kick off with mine. I think there was a couple that I thought were quite interesting. Obviously, Dallas is 17 against Dallas, and
Mhm.
I'd be
Good
actually be
shout.
tempted to take that 17. I'd be actually tempted to take that 17 because I'm not sure. I know they'll just give 40 touches to put Saquon Barkley again potentially on the Giants side, but um, that game we'll get to touchdown scores in a minute. 'Cause obviously, mine comes in that game, but yeah, 17 points, obviously the biggest that we've seen for a long, long while. And I know that the couple that we had last year, I think it was a couple of Houston games, they managed to cover. I think they even managed to win one when they were 17-point dogs, if my memory serves me. But yeah, the one I've gone for is Seattle -6.5 against the Commanders. Seattle at home. Seattle haven't really pulled up too many trees. Kenneth Walker and got stuffed last week against Baltimore, but I think being at home and against the Washington Commanders, who go from east to west, doesn't really necessarily make as much difference as going from west to east. But home comforts for Seattle. I think they'll get back on track. Obviously, the Commanders recently traded two of their defensive linemen, so I just think the two teams, well, not necessarily going in two different directions, but Seattle, I think, are a tier above, and I think they might want to they kind of lay the hammer down on Washington and kind of put the ship right a little bit. So yeah, -6.5 Seattle for me.
Yeah, it's. I'll be honest, it's not one I was looking at. I'm not entirely convinced on that one. I think the Washington with Sam Howell, he's shown that he's funky enough
Yeah,
to
he's a
keep
bit
them in any
fruity,
game.
isn't he? He's a bit fruity.
Yeah, he could throw with three interceptions, but then he'd probably throw five touchdowns because it seems to be the way he's been playing this season. But I do agree, Seattle are the better team. It's just that I've seen them. Well, I've seen them being utterly inept against the AFC North because the AFC North has destroyed the NFC West all over the place this year. So yeah, they're the ones I concentrate on, and yeah, I think getting under the seven obviously is the key, as we say all the time. So definitely won't argue with you entirely on that one. I am going against my team. Obviously the Texans were very good last week, so Texans +7 against the Bengals. The Texans were great last week. CJ Stroud had a record-breaking game for a rookie, and he has shown that he can hang with pretty much any team in this league. Although I will say that the Bengals defense is incredibly good, and Lou Anarumo has already made comment on, yeah, we noticed that game. So yeah, I think the defense he faces this week will be a lot better. I don't know about the offense for the Bengals though, because Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, neither of them apparently practiced today. T. Higgins with a hamstring injury, he picked up another niggling injury, and Jamar Chase with back issues after uh, dropping a pass last week. It was terrible that he dropped it after he fell on his back from about 8 foot high. So there's a possibility that one or the other or both of those miss, and that really would limit the Bengals' offense a little. I do like obviously Tyler Boyd and obviously Andre Yoshi. He's looked really good in the bits he's done. Charlie Jones, the other rookie, he's come off IR this week. I don't know if he's expecting to be playing, but if there is serious issues at wide receiver, then there's a chance he gets a little bit involved as well. And of course, Trenton Irwin's always reliable. And apparently now the Bengals have got all the tight ends. Tanner Hudson had a great game last week, so maybe the Bengals will still be able to move the ball, but it did give me enough worry that I think the Texans are decent value getting a touchdown in Cincinnati. So that's why I'm going with that one. And I'll be honest, I did have a look at the one that Liam's gone for. He's gone for Jaguars +3.5, hosting the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers they're coming off their bye week, aren't they? I think I don't remember
Yeah,
them playing last
both
week,
teams
so.
are.
Okay, so both off their bye week. The 49ers lost three in a row before that, which seemed unheard of earlier in the season. I personally, I can't take any NFC team versus AFC. I think the conference is very skewed, and although I did think the 49ers were the best team, or one of the best teams in the league, they've shown in recent weeks that I'm not entirely sure. Debo Samuel is apparently good to go this one, so that will definitely help them. But yeah, I would definitely lean to Liam's side on this one. The Jags getting 3.5 at home, and obviously the Jags were on fire before the bye. So if they can carry that on through, then I don't see why not.
Yeah, that's an easy line game for me, even if with the 3.5 for Jacksonville, just because of the ceiling that San Francisco can have, they can just come in and shut anyone down and then just take the whole game away. A couple of lines that I wasn't quite sure what they are was the Tampa Bay -1 was, I know it was essentially a pick 'em, isn't it? Because -1 is just a mandatory kind of handicap that they got to put. But I know Tampa Bay have struggled in recent weeks, but Tennessee aren't really doing much either. And I think Tampa Bay at home in the defense, I think they'll win that quite comfortably personally. And then Baltimore -5.5 against Cleveland. I know they absolutely smashed Seattle last week, and they probably want, obviously Lamar Jackson's leading the MVP race, but that just kind of feels like a bit of a trap for me. The Cleveland Browns could easily go in there and shut that down, and it's going to be a 12-10 game or something like that. And obviously, Deshaun Watson came back last week, played all right. But yeah, I just thought that line was a bit high. I was expecting that to be a field goal, to be quite honest, because we know, like I say, full well how the AFC North play each other. So those were kind of
Yeah.
two that I didn't quite agree with those two. I don't know if you got any thoughts on any others.
Yeah, that's up to 6.5 for the Browns now as well, so it's even better on the Cleveland side of it. Yeah, it's yeah, the games are generally close in division. The
Yeah,
the Ravens, as you say, have killed the Lions and the Seahawks, but as I said before, I don't trust the NFC against the AFC. So if you get AFC North common opponents, and obviously that Browns defense has been, for me, it's the best in the league. I know a lot of people rate, ironically, the Ravens on the other side as the best in the league, but yeah, I think it should be it's going to be a close game either way. So yeah, getting 6.5 points. Annoyingly, I think the Steelers getting 3 points at home. Sorry, was it getting or giving? Steelers,
They're 3.5 point favourites.
yeah, Steelers -3 against the Packers. The Packers have been terrible this last month, and the Steelers defense should shut them down. And we know what the Steelers do. It'll be a 2017 win. So frankly, actually, now I think about it, it'll be a 2017 win in the fourth quarter, and they'll push. So yeah, probably not the probably not the best line after all.
Okay.
Yeah, the Tennessee one's a bit weird. Obviously, this is Will Levis hype, I guess, around them scoring points. Atlanta are on my do not ever touch sheet. I will never ever back them again this season, and I hope that Liam won't when we get round to that. So yeah, um, it's yeah. Other than that, I didn't really have anything else on spreads. I'll be honest, I struggled again. I did actually remember picking my one this week, but it was a struggle picking one.
Yeah, that's always handy. Yeah, that just going back to that Baltimore 6.5 one that you said now, it just seems a bit weird that Baltimore are 6.5 point favourites when the over underline there is 37.5. It doesn't just smells a bit of a bit fishy, that one. So yeah, I'd probably take Cleveland, and even if it's 6.5, maybe even pay up to do the 7 for a push on a
Hmm.
touchdown if it even gets like that. But yeah, it just feels like a Justin Tucker 15 point game, to be quite honest, and
Yeah.
kind of go from there. But yeah, talking of that brings us quite nicely onto the totals. Yeah, again, a lot of totals begin with a 3 this week. I think I counted 4, not including, so it's 4, 5, 6, including the primetime games. So again, not a points at a premium. Some of the highest scoring teams, obviously, on by Kansas City, etc., etc. But the one I've gone for is over 48.5, which I think is the highest total of the week, actually, which is ironic. But yeah, over 48.5, Detroit versus the Chargers. I just think this. I know the Chargers have had their struggles and didn't exactly have to do much to beat the Jets last week, but I think this one could be a bit of a shootout. Chargers at home, although it doesn't really matter because they both play in the dome anyway. I just think Jared is more for Jared Goff in the sense that he's at home. Sorry, he's in the dome, so it doesn't necessarily. His away splits have been a bit more. There's been a bit of disparity between his home and away splits, but um, yeah, I just think that they had the opportunity there to be a bit of a gunslinger shootout with Detroit's defensive line being decent. They're not really going to necessarily run the ball, but then they've got the perfect weapon of Austin Eckler to do screen games, short dump offs, and then kind of take them to the house. There's a lot of opportunity here for for kind of short drive but long touchdown kind of opportunities. So yeah, I quite like the over in that game.
Yep, should be a lot of points in it. Again, it was a spread I didn't want to touch just because NFC versus AFC. We've seen what the Lions did when they came up against a good team. The same as the Dolphins, frankly. Fuck all. So yeah, but I can't trust the Chargers, obviously. So yeah,
Yeah,
I do think there should be points in that game, and I think we figured out in one of the other chats that Monty should be back. So that obviously adds to the Lions' offense, and Jameer Gibbs has looked great covering for him. So it might be a case of them trying to figure out how they balance it, frankly, more than anything else. I think it might be a lot more Gibbs during outside the 20s, and then more Monty, obviously, when you get near the goal line. So it'll be interesting to see how they go with that one.
yeah, I just
Yeah,
think
my total. Sorry.
I can't see the Chargers really stopping Detroit. I know the Chargers have some decent players on defense with Derwin James and all the rest of them, but I just think I can easily see the Lions putting up 28 to 30, 31 or something like that, and then it's just a case of whether or not Detroit shut the Chargers down, or if the Chargers can kind of keep pace. And I'm going to put my faith in Herbert a little bit. I know he's not got a vast amount of weapons. Josh Palmer obviously going on IR. So it's only essentially Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson's not really pulled up any trees, and then
No.
it's Austin Eckler, and then maybe the odd tight ends might get involved, or Darius Davis, or whatnot as well. So there is a bit of a, again, Chargers going to charge element to this, but yeah, I think the Detroit Lions will do their part by scoring 28 to 30, and then let's say the Chargers only have to put up 20 then to get us over.
Yeah, 4 yards an attempt or whatever Herbert's been throwing recently. I think it might take a while for them to get to those points, but yeah, they destroyed a terrible Jets offensive line last week. They're going up against one of the best defensive lines in the league this week, so it'll be definitely a lot more of a test for them. I'll quickly touch on Liam's one because he's gone with over 37.5 in the Ravens at Browns game. Obviously, we just had a little bit of a chat about that one, saying that we think it'll be a lower scoring game. So Liam's Liam's gone against the grain on this one a little bit. I guess his numbers will have it at 40ish.
He must have picked that during the Chiefs Dolphins games, and he was pissed.
That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, yeah. It was the Steins in Frankfurt has done him in there. But yeah, I've gone with another one. We had a little bit of a chat about. I've gone for over 38.5 in Titans against Buccaneers. Again, the Bucks defense is a pass funnel, and obviously we saw CJ Stroud throw 4 touchdowns against them last week and nearly 500 yards. And Will Levis has shown that he can chuck the ball downfield. As far as I'm aware, he had a decent enough game against the Steelers defense last week on Thursday night. Obviously, coming off now extended rest as well, which helps them. And the Bucks have shown that they can put up points mainly with Mike Evans, but K. Dotton got a couple last week, so maybe he'll start moving the ball around a little bit more. So yeah, I thought it was quite a low total, and it won't take a whole lot to get over on that one. So that was the one I was going with. Other than that, I didn't really have much on the totals to be honest. If the Bengals were healthy, or I knew they were fully healthy, I'd be quite happy to take the overs in that game because I do think the Texans are going to put up points. Um, but yeah, other than that, under in Germany, under 43. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it certainly will do. Let's round off then with a couple of touchdown scorers. I've gone for Tony Pollard, who has not scored since week one against, funny enough, they were against this week's opponents. I think it's just about time that he kind of gets in the end zone. They're 17.17 and a half point favorites. So if that doesn't, if you want an indicator to, is what running back's going to get a touchdown, pick a high handicap line because they're just going to run the crap out of the ball. But with that in mind, do have a little look at Rico Dowdle, just in case he's a bit overpriced. I don't know if you can get a price for me, Adam, because I can.
Yeah, look now.
I didn't have one on Pollard, but you've messaged me to say he's 4 to 6, so that's plenty short enough. But Rico Dowdo could be a good one, maybe even Deuce Vaughn. I know he's been a healthy scratch and whatnot, but Cavante, yeah, we had a couple of weird ones last week for Dallas
Yeah,
against
Turpin. Yeah,
Tolbert and Turpin. But yeah, I fully expect kind of focus to get Pollard in the end zone because Dallas's run game has not been there at all this season. But like I say, if it's a blowout, Rico Dowdle, who gets the odd drive anyway, even in kind of neutral game scripts or kind of negative ones. If you got there 70-72, Lipke, yeah,
yeah,
Lipke's he'll be a bit of a fluky because he just blocks as a fullback. But yeah, 72 on Dowdy, you could probably do a lot worse. Maybe even do 2+, which is I think if it's 72, you're generally around 20 to 1. I think for 2+. So that's
yeah,
kind of where I'd be looking.
yeah. 40 to 1 for 2+. So yeah, as you say, I was looking for a defensive score for them, but I can't find that on Bet365. Not entirely sure. I'd imagine it'll be down around evens, frankly, for against Tommy DeVito. For the Giants this week. Yeah, my bet for touchdown score, I've gone for with the Gus Bus. Obviously, he scored three a couple of weeks ago. He scored last weekend. He didn't actually have many touches last week. I assume it's because it was such a blowout. They were giving them moving the ball around. Obviously, Keaton Mitchell ran one in from 70 odd yards. Keaton Mitchell averaged something like 21 yards a carry, which is fairly impressive. Whereas Gus, he averaged about two because he only had a couple of touches from 5 yards out. But yeah, it barged his way in again. Um, I do think the Ravens will get down there, and it was 11-8 on Bet365 for him. I'd imagine you'll probably be able to find a little bit better around the places if you did want that on that one. And Liam's gone with Taysom Hill. I will have a look for odds on that one. I get why on that one because he does seem to have found his niche in that offense as he does every year, and he's scored I think 3 games in a row now. He had a receiving touchdown, his first receiving touchdown this weekend just gone, and he had a lot of rush attempts inside the red zone. So I can see why on that one. I imagine he'll be around 7-2. To be honest, he's normally fairly high.
Yeah, no, don't mind that shout. Don't mind that shout whatsoever. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
just looking down
5-2.
the plate. Yeah, and they say like need to try and look at kind of the high scoring ones. I suppose Eckler would be odds on. He found the end zone obviously a couple of times last week. Detroit, you kind of you can't really bet on Montgomery because you don't know if he's they say he's obviously back and healthy, but you never know. First game back, Jameer Gibbs, what's his role going to be like? Amon-Ra St. Brown would probably be my go-to there for the Lions because he just gets so many receptions and so many opportunities and just electric when he's got the ball. But 08 to 11 net class, that's not too bad. Maybe a
Yeah.
but again, yeah, even that with that though, the Lions of defensive line could stuff him a few times, so maybe have to be kind of like a pass or like a dump off for a touchdown in the red zone or something. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they're all roughly around evens. Monty, Gibbs, and St. Brown. St. Brown obviously the highest. At 65, it was 5-6, and evens for Monty and Monty and Gibbs between those two.
yeah, lovely stuff. That's it. All right, Adam, if you want to bring up we'll have a little recap then of what
I
we
do
selected,
have
what
the
we
trebles.
yeah, the trebles that'll do. I think we're just a note on last week. I think we were all 3 out of 6 last week, weren't we? So half and half. Flip a coin and see where.
Yeah,
But yeah, best and best bet trebles then for the spreads. Texans +7 for Adam. Tim, I've gone for Seattle -6.5. Liam's gone for Jags +3.5. Totals: Tennessee and Tampa Bay over 38.5 for Adam. I've gone for Detroit, the Chargers over 48.5. And Liam has gone for over 37.5. Baltimore versus Cleveland. And touchdown scorers, again, not really many prices about, so do shop around. Gus Bus, Pollard, and Taysom Hill for Adam, myself, and Liam, respectively. So there we go.
good.
That's it. We're all done. We're all done. Yeah, here we go. We coordinated that quite well.
Yeah, it's all right.
We made that. We made We made up after that full start at the beginning with 5 yards. We made it. We found it. We found our way into the end zone. So there we go. Obviously, yeah, Liam should be back next week. Obviously, he's been on his travels. He was at Kansas City last week. But good luck with all your bets, whatever you are getting on. Yeah, and we'll be back next week to go through all of those and week 11 as well. Please gamble responsibly, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.
You need to